Hello, scholars. We are today reading our last story about Edna and Carla, lesson 35 in your Reading Mastery book. If you don't have it, press pause, grab your book and your packet. We will get started with lesson 35. Touching column 1. Word 1 is actually. What word? Right, actually. Number 2 is exhibit. What word? Yes, exhibit. Word 3 is museum. What word? Good. A museum is a place with many different kinds of exhibits. Could be rocks, fish, many other things. So, what do we call a place that has many different kinds of exhibits? Right, a museum. Word 4 is a name. It is the name Leonard. What name? Right, Leonard. So, scholars, Leonard is a character in the next group of stories. We're actually going to be skipping that. So, if you're interested in reading more about Leonard and the museum, and it has to do with inventing, you might want to check out those stories about Leonard. Word 5 is character. What word? Right, character. When you say that somebody is a character, you mean that person is unusual. If someone says, oh, Millie is quite a character, they mean she's quite unusual. It's also the same spelling for character when you're talking about someone's character or personality traits. Just like when we made our list a while back of some personality traits, right? Those have to do with someone's character, right? Being patient, being curious, being greedy, being daring, loving, right? Those are all character traits, personality traits. So that character is spelled the same way, right? This is a character in a story, or saying, oh, she is quite a character. Character. Word 6 is embarrassed. What word? Right, embarrassed. When you are feeling embarrassed, you feel foolish or silly. If you drop your cake at a party, you might feel embarrassed. That happened to me once when I was a kid. I was holding my Cookie Monster cake and I tilted it a little bit for a picture and it slid right off the tray and onto the floor. I was very embarrassed and I cried because I was sad. Right? Embarrassed. Let's do column 1 the quick way. Everyone ready? When I touch my head? Actually, exhibit, museum, Leonard, character, embarrassed. Column 2. All the words in column 2 are compound words, so 2 words put together to make a new word. Word 1, under and water, make, right, underwater. Number 2, over and board, make, yes, overboard. Word 3, some and how, make, you got it, somehow. And number 4, auto and mobile, make, yes, automobile. Let's do that column the quick way when I touch my nose. Ready? Underwater, overboard, somehow, automobile. Good work. Column 3. All the words in column 3 have endings. Word 1. What word? Yes, directed. When you direct people to do something, you order them to do it. So, what would be another way of saying he ordered them to leave the room? Did you say he directed them to leave the room? Good job. Word 2, divided. What word? Correct, divided. Things that are divided are separated into parts. If the money was separated into 4 equal parts, the money was divided into 4 equal parts. What would be a way of saying the pie was separated into 6 equal parts? Right. The pie was divided into 6 equal parts. Number 3, what word? Right, bandages. Number 4, what word? Yes, approached. Number 5, what word? Correct, sandwiches. Yum. Number 6, what word? Correct, honestly. You're honestly doing a great job. Number 7, what word? Right, handful. Let's read column 3 the quick way. Everybody ready? When I touch my ear. Directed, divided, bandages, approached, sandwiches, honestly, handful. Column 4. The first word is a day of the week. It's a proper noun. What word? Good, Monday. Word 2 is the word laundry. What word? Great. 3 is yesterday. What word? Yes. 4 is mysterious. What word? Terrific. Mysterious. Word 5 is stomach. What word? Good. 6 is another day of the week. Also a proper noun. What word? Right. Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday. But today is Thursday. 7, what word? Did you say possible? Good. Let's do column 4 the quick way when I touch my chin. Monday, laundry, yesterday, mysterious, stomach, Tuesday, possible. All right, scholars, we are to part B. If you want to pause for a moment and practice any of those vocabulary words again, go ahead. Otherwise, we're moving into part B. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are reading the last story today about Edna and Carla. Scholars, in addition to your work in your packet, which you'll want to make sure you join me for at the end of this video, you also have a quick quiz today on character traits. It's a short little quiz, but make sure you also do that because that will have a score as well as your assignment today. All right. So I'm reminded of these character traits that we talked about earlier with Edna and Carla. Way back when they were first on the ship and climbing into that lifeboat, I remember quite a few of you mentioning that they were curious, they were daring, they were active, playful, and a few of you thought maybe they were a little rude, right, because they were not following instructions. Those are all character traits, right? Those are traits that we can't tell by just looking at them, right? When you look at someone, the things you're seeing to describe them are called their physical traits, remember. Character traits, personality traits are what you're like on the inside, your inside traits. And you have to get to know someone, right? And their behavior, their way of acting with virtue or vice to know, right, more about their personality, their character. So keep that in mind when you work on today's quiz. And maybe even as we're reading today's story, do any of your thoughts on the character traits, the personality traits of Edna or Carla change? Saved. Edna realized that she and Carla needed water. Without it, they would not last for more than a few more hours. Edna moved to the front of the boat and started to look for fishing gear. But then she noticed a slim line of smoke in the distance. It wasn't the billowing smoke that came from the island. A ship, Edna said, as she stood up. I think there's a ship over there. She pointed. Carla stood up. You're right. I can see it. And I think it's coming in this direction. So, what kind of smoke did Edna see in the distance? Right, it was smoke from the ship, a slim line of smoke. So she knew it wasn't the same billowing cloud from the island. The next hour seemed longer than any hour Edna ever remembered. Edna didn't do anything but watch the approaching ship. She felt that if she stopped watching it, it would disappear. As it got closer, she recognized the ship. That's Dad's ship, she shouted. They're coming back for us. So, scholars, how long did Edna and Carla watch that ship? Right, about an hour. And what was the only thing Edna did during that whole hour? Yes, all she did was watch that ship. She kept her eye on that ship. Think of all the things they've been through, right? Can you imagine why they would be just watching that ship the whole time? And whose ship is it? Yes, Captain Parker's ship. And then we have those three dots. Remember the ellipsis. So we're jumping ahead now. See if you can see what's next. The crew members helped Edna and Carla onto the deck of the ship. So during that ellipsis, right, we jumped ahead to the ship actually reaching their lifeboat. Captain Parker put his arms around the girls. Then Edna started to cry. She didn't want to cry. During the whole adventure, she hadn't cried. But now, as her dad hugged her, she couldn't help it. Tears started to run down her cheeks. Dad, she said. She was so glad to be back, and she was ashamed for not paying attention to what her father had said. I'm glad we found you, Captain Parker said. Now, let's get you taken care of. So, scholars, let's think about that. What things might they need if they have to be taken care of? Think about they've been away for so long. They probably need some water, food. How about some medicine or ointment for their blisters on that they have, and maybe they even have some sunburn. Maybe take a shower or a bath, right? They've been through quite an ordeal. Both girls had blisters on their hands from rowing. They were both badly sunburned, and they were very hungry and thirsty. But within an hour, they were fixed up. Now, the girls had burn cream on their noses, they had little bandages on their hands, and they had full stomachs. Edna drank 3 glasses of juice. She ate 2 sandwiches, and she almost finished a huge piece of pie. Wow. But she couldn't make it through that pie. She pushed herself away from the table and stood up. I'm full, she said. I'd like to talk with you girls, Captain Parker said. Scholars, let's hold that spot for a moment. Any ideas what he's going to talk to them about? Let's see if your prediction is correct. The girls followed him to the map room. Captain Parker told them to sit down. All right, he said. What happened? I know we shouldn't have been playing around with the lifeboat, Carla said. But I'm the one to blame. Edna didn't want to do it. It was my idea. Just tell me what happened, Captain Parker said. So the girls told the whole story. How the boat fell into the water, how they got sucked into the whirlpool, how they found the mysterious island, and what happened on the island. After the girls had finished telling about the second whirlpool, Carla said, I don't know how we got out of the whirlpool, but we did, somehow. Then, the next thing we knew, Your ship was coming back toward us. That's some story, Captain Parker said. Do you honestly think all those things happened? Hold your spot, scholars. Does it sound right now like he's believing their story? I was thinking no. It doesn't seem like he's believing them. Let's continue. Tracking fingers or bookmarks? Oh, yeah, Edna said. We're not making it up. It really happened. The whole thing. Then Carla said, Don't you believe us? Captain Parker smiled. From the way you tell the story, I think you believe it, but I'm not sure it really happened that way. It did happen, Dad, Edna said. It really did. Everything we told you is true. Well, then, tell me this, Captain Parker said. What day of the week was it when you went overboard? Monday, Edna said. And you spent a night on the island. Is that correct? Yes, Edna agreed. Captain Parker said, So, what day would that make today? Today is Tuesday, Edna said. Captain Parker opened a door and said to a crew member, Tell these girls what day today is. The man looked a little puzzled. Monday, he said. So, how could it still be Monday, scholars? Interesting. Monday? Edna said. No, that was yesterday. Today is Tuesday. The young crew member smiled and said, What is this? Some kind of joke? Captain Parker said, No, everything is all right. Thank you. Scholars, I'm going to stop there and have you read that last bit yourself, but I do have a few questions for you, and be sure to look at that illustration carefully. Press pause and finish the story right now. Then press play again. All right, let's check in on the last bit. Something happened to make Edna think that this adventure really did happen. What happened? Right, she found red sand in her pocket. And where is the only place she could have gotten that red sand? On that island. So, if the sand was in her pocket, what does that mean? Did you say something about her actually having been on the island? That's what I was thinking. Now, did she ever find out the answer to how that sand got in her pocket? No, she didn't. So this story was really quite a mystery. So before we move to your packet work, looking at this picture, what is that strange little animal in the picture? And where do you suppose it came from? It had some kind of dinosaur, and it probably came from that island. Interesting. All right, scholars, let's take a look at your packet for today. All right, scholars, so here we are in the packet. You can see today for lesson 35 that we're going to be sequencing events, right? Putting the events from the story in the correct order by writing 1 by what happened first, right? 2 by what happened second, and so on until we get to all 5 events. In your rubric, there's a point for that part right here, right? So let's take a look at that. Let's try maybe 2 of them. So I've shared with you my strategy before. I love to find what happened first and then what happened last, and then figure out the middle things after that, right? Because it's a little less overwhelming if you can get rid of a couple of them. So she, being Edna, pushed herself away from the table and stood up. "I'm full," she said. Well, I remember that did not happen at the beginning of the story today. As Edna approached the laundry room, she checked the pockets of her pants. Well, that definitely happened much later in the story. Edna moved to the front of the boat and started looking for fishing gear. Oh, so here they're still in the boat. So I'm going to kind of put that one in my mind for a minute and just think, I want to come back to that one. Captain Parker said, "Do you honestly think all those things happened?" So this is Captain Parker talking to them. So that definitely wasn't the beginning. The crew members helped Edna and Carla onto the deck of the ship. Well, that had to happen before Captain Parker talked to them and before she stood up and said how full she was. So, So I'm thinking about the middle of the story, right? Or sorry, the beginning of the story when we left off last time. They were getting ready to catch some raw fish so they could chew on the raw fish to get some fresh water. So that makes me think of her moving to the front of the boat and how she started looking for fishing gear. Right? So I'm going to put a 1 there. And then as Edna, oh my, I better make sure I fix that. As Edna approached the laundry room, she checked the pockets of her pants. Right? That's reminding me of when she found the red sand and thought, right? It seemed like they were on the island. Right? And that was right at the end of our story. So I'm going to put a 5 there. Now, scholars, the 3 I have left, I just have to think which of those happened, right? After she was looking for fishing gear, find what happened second, third, and fourth, and make sure those things all happened in between my 1 and my 5. That's how I'm going to get the point for the 5 events being in the correct order. Then question number 2, how would you feel if you were Edna or Carla in today's story? Why? Right, so if I was Edna, or you could say Carla, right? I would feel because, right? Remember that why? Because Mr. Long's favorite word, and then right? Why would you feel that way? That is going to take care of part of the question being in your answer, right? Because you're saying, right? How would you feel if you were Edna or Carla? So would feel. There's a lot there. And as long as you also say your why, the because, right? Why would you feel that way? That's going to take care of all of the parts, right? And that's going to connect to you yourself because you're saying how you would feel. And then checking that you have capital letters and punctuation marks is how you're going to get that 5th point. So today's work on this is worth 5 points. Now, the other quick thing to remember, scholars, is once you finish this, there's also a quick quiz on a reading form, or on a Google form for you to work on. It's a pretty quick one. It's rereading a folk tale that you read on an earlier test, and then just doing a couple of things related to personality traits with that. Work carefully. Read it twice, as the instructions say. So read twice. And then remember, you're working with personality traits, right? Inside traits, character traits. Not what you see by looking at the character, but what you learn about that character from his or her personality, right? His inside traits. Good luck. Make sure you submit a photo of this page and that you click at the bottom of that Google form to send your quick quiz answers to your reading teacher. These are both graded assignments, so please make sure you do both of them. Thanks, scholars, and have a great Thanksgiving break.